Good news.
Freddy said as he stepped out of the charging station.
The front doors will open in 5 hours.
He felt the kids shift suddenly in his chest, causing him to stumble slightly.
Good news. 5 hours. That's so long. How is that good news?
It is no longer 6 hours until the doors open.
Freddy tried to explain.
And do not panic. If we get separated, you can always call me on your phase watch. As long as I have power, and I am able to reach you.
That's reassuring.
Freddy sighed again, and began walking down the hall towards the lobby again.
We should get moving. You can access the main atrium with your new security badge.
The AA tree,
Mono asked. Right. They were still young children.
It is the large room that has the main stage, and leads to nearly all the attractions.
He said as he stepped into the elevator to the atrium.
The stage where you fell.
Correct.
That place is huge. Why are we going there?
Because I have identified 2 possible exit points. The main loading docks, which is located under the food court on the 1st floor, and the fire escape, located in the 3rd floor prize counter. Here, hop out of my chest cavity and I will help you check your phase watch and mark both locations on your phase map.
They were safely alone in the elevator anyway, so there wouldn't be any harm in them coming out right now. Freddy opened his chest, and Mono and Six quickly hopped out, the boy holding up the watch for him to look at. Freddy leaned down and tapped on the screen, only to stop when he realized.
Oh, it appears that you have no phase map. Well, fear not. You should be able to obtain one from the greeter on the center balcony.
Okay, where's that?
It will be just outside once the elevator stops.
The kids gave a nod, and they turned to wait for the door to open. Once the elevator music stopped and the doors began to open, the kids instantly went to step outside. Only for them both to jump a foot in the air when the map bot shot in front of them suddenly. Neither Mono nor Six screamed, but their reactions were intense nonetheless. Six was quick to scurry back into the elevator and hid behind Freddy's leg. Meanwhile, Mono pulled himself away from the map bot and reached into his dirty trench coat to grab one of the security guard flashlights. How did he get one of those? Oh, the desk in the daycare probably, and quickly pulled the heavy flashlight back and swung it at the bot, hitting it dead in the chest and causing it to stumble back. The boy looked ready to hit it again, pulling his arms back to charge another blow. Freddy's eyes widened in shock and he picked Mono up from under his arms before he could swing again.
Mono, there is no need for violence.
Freddy tried to tell the now struggling boy.
It's attacking us.
Six tried to defend. Mono nodded as he squirmed to get free.
I gotta.
Mono, you are fine. So is Six. Look, see?
The boy calmed down enough to face where the boy had been again, only to see it recovering and approaching them again. He flinched back, but froze when he noticed how nothing had happened yet. Soon enough, Mapbot was just there, holding out a pamphlet to them.
Hi. Please take this map. Take a map.
Freddy watched as Mono slowly went from tense and on high alert, to confused but calmer. After another moment, Mono reached out and hesitantly took the pamphlet from the bot, then pulled away from it as if it would try to take it back. The glasses-wearing bot just gave a polite and stiff bow before rolling off elsewhere. The bear smiled with relief and set the boy back down on the ground.
See? No reason to lash out. The greeter, Mapbot, was only trying to help you, though, I will admit, it did not need to jump at you two to accomplish that.
Mono was still a little shaken, probably coming down from the adrenaline high he was currently on, his form trembling as he stood awkwardly with the flashlight pointing out like a bat. After a moment, he relaxed again, and sighed slowly, moving to straighten himself.
Sorry.
The boy apologized sheepishly.
I thought. I was just trying to protect Six.
Freddy watched as Six's brows furrowed in confusion and concern, and she came out from hiding behind his leg to approach Mono.
And that was very brave of you to do.
Freddy told him, kneeling down to him.
It is not wrong to want to keep your friend safe, and sometimes violence is required for that. But one must understand when the appropriate time is to use it. We can end up permanently hurting someone innocent if we are not careful.
Mono looked down to the floor as he took in Freddy's words, seeming both confused, but also ashamed at what he had done. Freddy couldn't let the child think that he had been bad though, because he hadn't. He was just scared and confused.
Thankfully, us robots are not like humans, and can be repaired much easier than humans can. The staff bots in particular do not share the same emotions that me and my friends do, so there was no real harm done here.
Mono turned his head back to face him, brown eyes a bit wide with more confusion.
So I didn't mess it up? I'm not in trouble.
Freddy smiled and gave him a pat on the head affectionately. The boy stiffened at first from the contact, but loosened up slowly when he realized that he wasn't being hurt by the bear. That just made Freddy even more bitter towards whatever situation they had been in before they had met. Freddy continued to rub his head gently with affection.
You are not in trouble, but we must learn from this experience. Remember to be more careful when dealing with others. Before you attack, be sure to identify if the person or thing is truly a threat or not. If you learn this lesson now, you will not have to learn it in a future where you could actually hurt someone innocent.
The boy's face brightened with awe and understanding. Mono's complexion was already so pale, but it eased Freddy when he saw some red dusting his cheeks. Mono gave a determined nod, almost smiling, but not quite.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, with that lesson out of the way, Freddy stood back up.
Now, I shall show you the map of the building, so that you may identify all of the attractions. Come this way.
The kids followed him curiously as he led them to the balcony of the atrium.
I know that you two cannot read, but you should be able to identify each attraction by the designs.
Freddy then went into explaining each attraction to the kids, and their functions, which seemed to make them confused on their purposes.
So you just hit a ball until it goes into a hole. What's the point of that?
It is supposed to be fun.
It sounds dumb. Do we get a reward from it or something?
No, you do not.
You shoot people with guns. That doesn't sound fun. We could kill someone.
Oh, no, Mono. Phaser blasters are not real guns. They do not shoot bullets. They shoot a beam of light that will tag you every time you get hit by one. The goal is to try not to get shot, and to shoot the most people, but no one actually gets hurt.
They didn't seem to understand the concept of playing, which made Freddy ask more questions to himself about their situation before. Had they been prisoners since birth? Trapped and raised in a place where they had no knowledge of the outside world? That seemed to be the most likely explanation. But that didn't answer how they had gotten into the pizza Plex in the first place. Security was tight. How did these two children, who stood out like sore thumbs, sneak in?
Ugh.
Suddenly Six collapsed on her knees, curling in on herself and clutching her stomach in pain.
6. Are you okay?
Mono immediately fell to her side. Freddy's eyes went wide with shock and concern.
Child in pain. Immediate action required.
Freddy wasted no time kneeling down to her as well.
6. What is wrong? Are you hurt?
Six groaned, curling in on herself even more. Freddy took note of the area she was clutching, her stomach.
Stomachache, physical injury, internal injury, emotional distress.
Then, a grumble was heard.
Hunger detected. Malnourished child. Food required immediately.
Are you hungry again?
Mono asked her, putting his hands on her shoulders. The girl nodded, giving a whine of pain as she leaned into his touch. This situation seemed bad. It looked like Six was literally dying of hunger right in front of them, which was so odd considering she seemed fine not 2 minutes ago. Now she was whimpering in pain, unable to move at all, like she had just been impaled by a spear.
6. Is this only hunger?
Freddy asked, feeling her forehead for a fever.
Are you injured at all? Do you feel feverish?
The bear didn't know how to react accordingly. There were no protocols for a hunger attack. If a child said that they were hungry, the animatronics would simply direct them in the direction of their table for food, or sometimes offer treats to them if they were underprivileged and had no money to pay for a true meal, and then seek a human staff member to report possible child neglect or abuse. But Freddy had never dealt with a child literally starving to death before his very eyes. Could food truly even cure this? Six whined again as she shook her head.
Starving.
This happened once before. We got her some of those triangles to eat, and she was all better. Are there more triangles?
Freddy blinked, confused for a moment what he meant, then quickly realized that he was talking about pizza slices. Well, there weren't going to be any pizzas laying around right now, since the staff bots likely already cleaned up the entire building since closing. However,
I shall take you to the food court. There's sure to be food lying around there. 6. Please allow me to carry you.
He didn't actually wait for her to respond before gently taking her in his arms and holding her to his chest, then stood up.
Mono, follow me. Stay close.
The boy nodded, and Freddy led the way up the escalators and to the 3rd floor, making sure to avoid staff bots along the way. Freddy scanned the security in the immediate area and thankfully was able to find something.
Good news. It looks like the door to our chips is unlocked. Once we are inside, Mono can find you some food from there.
Me? Why can't you?
Freddy grimaced in regret as they approached the entrance.
I am terribly sorry, but I cannot enter the area because the storm door will only open so wide. I am too big to crawl under, however.
The bear shifted 6 so that he could carry her with one arm, and used his free one to pull the door up for Mono.
I can keep this open for you. All you will have to do is go behind the counter, Mono. There should be some chips or other foods being kept there. Feel free to grab and open anything, then bring it back here for 6. Quickly please, and be wary of the security bots.
Mono only hesitated for a moment, then nodded and slid under the door, and Freddy could hear the soft patting of his bare feet as he ran inside. Freddy continued to hold the door open for when Mono would return, as well as cradling 6, since he was a robot and would not grow tired. A loud grumble was heard from her stomach again, and 6 groaned in pain, shifting to hide her face in his arm. Freddy winced, and tried to rock her softly for comfort, as he had seen many parents do for their children.
I apologize, 6. You will have to wait just a bit longer, but Mono will bring you food any moment now.
He wished he could do more for her. Maybe if he was with Chica, she could have given 6 something to eat. Chica tended to carry treats in her own chest cavity, and other compartments on her arms and legs, to give to children throughout the day. Speaking of arms, 6 was biting his. It didn't hurt him, since robots don't really feel pain, at least, not the same way humans do, but he could feel 6 gnawing on his forearm. Apparently she was so desperate for food she was willing to try to eat anything. Freddy's brows furrowed in concern.
6. I am afraid to say that my arm is not edible. Do you think that you can stop biting me? It is not a very nice thing to do to others.
If she heard him, she didn't show it, since she kept trying to gnaw on it like a dog on a chew toy. Freddy was actually growing concerned for the state of her teeth, with how hard she was biting him. If only there was something to tide her over until... Wait.
6. Do you still have the candy I gave you? If you have not eaten it yet, you can eat it now. It should help ease your hunger some.
The girl froze for a moment when he said that. She then scrambled to find the pocket of her raincoat, but was slowed down by the pain in her stomach as she moved. Eventually she was able to pull out the lollipop and ripped off the wrapping before shoving it into her mouth. Instantly she began crunching on it, not waiting for it to dissolve on her tongue. Freddy couldn't blame her, but it was still concerning as he heard the crunches, fearing that it might actually be her teeth and not the candy being broken apart. Soon the candy disappeared, and 6 whined in pain as she curled on her stomach again. This time she hid her face in Freddy's shoulder.
Hurts.
Freddy's blue eyes softened.
Can you tell me how it hurts? Does it feel sharp, or dull? Do you feel nauseous?
She nodded against him.
All of it. I can't. H hurts too much. I feel sick.
There was another grumble and she groaned, writhing in his protective hold. Was it just Freddy, or were the nearby lights flickering softly? And what was that movement out of the corner of his eye? The bear shifted slightly to turn towards the movement, but once he looked, there was nothing to see. Odd. He swore he thought Mono or maybe another small child in black had walked by, but there was nothing. Was he more human-like than he realized? He heard that humans would see things like this all the time, but he never has. Not until right now anyway. Well, he couldn't exactly investigate it right now, since he needed to hold up the storm door and wait for Mono to get back. Speak of the devil, Mono crawled back under the door, now carrying a bag of corn tortillas.
I found some circles.
The boy said, holding them up to them.
Are these food?
Freddy grimaced slightly. These kids didn't even know what pizza and tortillas were. How strange.
Yes, fantastic job, Mono.
The bear said as he finally let go of the door and knelt down to help 6 on the floor. He took the bag from Mono and opened it, then held it up to 6.
Try this. This should help.
6 grabbed 3 tortillas and immediately started scarfing them down with the aggression of a wild animal. She was barely even chewing for 2 seconds on each bite before she swallowed and took another bite, repeating the cycle.
6. Do please slow down. I am afraid that you will choke yourself.
She didn't listen to him, and didn't slow down at all. 5 tortillas in, she actually seemed to be doing fine, until she inevitably choked on a piece. Freddy patted her back to help her spit it out, and once she did, she was back shoving her face full of tortillas again. After the 8th, she finally stopped and gave a satisfied sigh.
Are you feeling better now?
She nodded. Freddy then turned towards Mono, who looked relieved that 6 was okay. The boy was still so small and thin, nearly being as small as 6 was. Surely he needed something to eat as well.
Mono, would you like some as well?
Mono blinked in surprise, but shook his head.
No, I'm good. We need to keep moving.
Are you sure?
Freddy was skeptical. The boy nodded.
I'm not hungry. We need to keep moving.
He repeated. Freddy was still unsure, but he gave the boy a nod back, and stood up.
Very well. In order to get to the fire escape, you must get access to the prize counter room. If you go through all chips, you can get to the arcade, and through there you can find a security office where you can get a security badge to let you in.
Both kids nodded.
I must warn you, when you enter an area where you do not have a locator map signal, I will be unable to reach your location. You can update your mini-map at a security office.
They nodded again, and looked ready to go already, but just as they were about to crawl under the door, Freddy placed a hand on their shoulders. They turned back towards him questioningly. Freddy smiled softly.
Be safe.
Mono and Six exchanged confused glances, but Mono faced him again and gave a nod.
We will.